Welcome to this episode of Gen AI Live. My name is Brian Terry, and I'm a senior partner Gen AI specialist. And I'm joined here with my friend and co-host Wayne. How are you doing today, Wayne?
Hey Brian, thanks for introducing me. Hey everybody, thanks for having us. My name is Wayne Sachs. I'm a senior manager of partner solutions architecture here at AWS, and it's really exciting to be here with I think our first Gen AI Live of the series. Um,
Yeah,
and there's a lot to talk about after all of the things that we've seen and we saw at reInvent, where I last saw you in person, and just like the speed of the industry and the state of technology over the last couple of months. It's really something to
yeah.
behold.
Yeah, super awesome. And if this is your first time joining us at Gen AI Live, we're happy that you're here. And you can see our next episode, which is what we're doing. It's every week now from 8 to 9 every Wednesday. So that's a perfect opportunity to join us and learn what's happening with the latest and greatest in Gen AI. So yeah, it's going to be super exciting. I think today we have an awesome show today, Wayne, right? I mean, we're going to be
Yeah,
talking about a lot of cool things, right?
yeah. I think we got a good schedule coming up for today. I think to start with, why don't we just talk a little bit, you and I, about the services and launches that we saw at reInvent, what we've seen in the last couple of weeks and months. What's kind of getting us interested in this space, or not getting us interested, really, like holding our interest and making it even bigger. So coming out of reInvent, did anything really like come off as the thing for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. There were a lot of things that showed even from our partners, they showed a lot of good tooling. But one of the things that like caught my attention was the Nova models and how they worked and all the things you can do with the Nova model is it's absolutely awesome. I mean, to see where Gen AI kind of started out as kind of a chatbot, and then we're moving into a new, area where it's doing video and it's doing images. I mean, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, like the Nova models, I think are it's the thing that sort of like left the big visual imprint on us, right? Like, I talk to a lot of partners on a regular basis, and customers and clients, and everybody's super interested in getting their hands on it. I also think there's a ton of interest in Titan and our custom silicone, which I think is um, it's like part of the tradition of AWS to give our customers the right tool for the right problem, and to help you know uh, uh, sort of provide the building blocks or all of the capabilities that our customers need to solve the problem that they have in hand, to build for the future. It's really exciting um, to see
Yeah.
just like all of the possibilities that people are coming up with.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, just being able to have the choice to where you can actually use things like SageMaker and create your own models from scratch if you're a data scientist, or if you wanted to move up further up the chain, you can use Bedrock and just, kind of have like that model hosting for you and gives you just a little bit of, tooling to get started. But then you can go all the way up the chain to Q to just have an out of the box Gen AI assistant. So, I love the fact that AWS gives our customers that choice and that way where they can actually grow if they choose to go from one to another. I mean, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it really is. When I think about like I've been in this industry for a long time. I've been to AWS for a long time, and today feels a lot like it did in 2013, 2014, early days of the AWS cloud, where we're all kind of discovering together the power of these capabilities that we're a part of inventing. And every day somebody comes up with a new use case or a new solution, a new problem to fix, and previously a sort of unthought of way to fix it. And Gen AI and LLMs are just this. It's an inspiring tool and an inspiring technology that is giving us sort of the ability to solve things that we didn't really recognize were solvable a couple of years ago. It's a humbling
Absolutely.
experience to be a part of.
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm not doing my day job here at AWS, I'm actually a PhD student. I'm actually researching Gen AI, and I'm actually able to use these AWS tools to kind of move forward in my research. So I can kind of see where academia is actually using the power of AWS to perform research and make great things. So I'm blessed to see both sides, both the party side of the industry and what's going on there, and seeing what's going on in education and how we can further that. So that's exciting stuff, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, and I think education is a spot that's going to have tremendous impacts. The possibility, like I've got young kids, and my wife's actually a teacher, so I see it from many of the different angles as a professional at AWS, as a parent, as a spouse of a teacher, and um, and and you see all of like the ability to sort of quickly synthesize information and sort of survey the available literature to construct lesson plans on the fly when somebody is sick as a teacher or something, and uh, it's I think we're at the very beginning of what will end up being like a really cool revolution in education in, well, many parts of our life. I was having a conversation just yesterday with a partner about how the consulting business is probably going to change in some ways about uh, when the capabilities of generative AI and these solutions start becoming more autonomous with agentic framework. And I'm curious, like from your perspective, that's the rage today, and I think it will remain the rage. Like, where are you seeing the like agentic frameworks and agentic generative AI and artificial intelligence going to go in the next year or two or three?
Yeah, I've actually talked to a lot of partners about this too, and a lot of consulting partners about this. But one of the areas I really seen Gen AI being able to be used as a powerful tool is in migrations. So I've seen partners actually use Gen AI to kind of describe a customer's environment and now offer solutions from anything to like using Gen AI to help with the migration, to document it, to write code, to help with modernization. So I think as we move into the future with GenAI and as it gets better and better at creating cloud infrastructure, I think it's going to probably be one of the main tools used in migrations and modernization.
Yeah, I think migration is definitely the place. Like I've seen a number of partners and a number of clients, customers um, start to tackle projects that were previously kind of untackleable for any number of reasons, right? Like the original group who wrote the code has long since retired, or they have low confidence that they could do it in a time frame that's reasonable, and they say, okay, well, let's experiment a little bit. And I think we're starting to see some of these, like I said previously, kind of untackleable challenges start to be chipped away at, and uh, it's really cool. I think we're gonna see an explosion of these hard use cases start to move because we now have some tooling that makes us feel confident that we can do it in a safe and measurable manner.
Yeah, so one of the other areas I've seen it is in software development, right? So I've seen a lot of partners and customers actually use Q Developer and allow their developers to use it. And what this done is it actually has increased their productivity. This has made them more confident in languages maybe they don't program every day. And as a developer myself, and I've used Q Developer, I find it to be great to have this like assistant to help me like get my job done and have that voice to like, hey, I may not be the best programmer in Python, but with this assistant, it can help me along and get my job done. So I think that's a
Yeah, yeah.
super part.
Yeah, like it's been a long time since I've been like a developer in a meaningful sense, but every time I
Yeah.
sit down, or like at least back in the old days, right? It was like I always had an O'Reilly book next to me. Whatever it was always it was always that book with a pencil drawing on the front, and me being like, "Ah, I can't remember that. Okay, flip, 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 flip. Okay, there we go. Right, and it
Yeah.
was like and that was part of the workflow, and now like not having that part of the workflow, you realize how much time you spent like flip 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 flip, right? And
Yeah.
just to like to just move quicker, get your head around a subject, or translate something from one thing to the next without having to like spend a whole lot of time getting out of your own head. Like for me, the big power is context switching in and out of like the problem solving domain to the finding random answers domain. It helps my brain stay kind of locked in on problem solving, which to me is just like the greatest gift of all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, I think the biggest thing is the documentation. Like, I guess I've been notorious as being a developer and say, "Hey, I'll get back to writing this document and the documentation," and then later on, I look back and it's like, "What did I write?" So having Gen AI there to help me with my documentation and fill in those gaps, I mean, even that's been like a miracle like thing for me.
So you're telling me that developers don't love writing documentation? Because I thought that was like why people did it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always say future Brian to get around to doing it.
That's right.
Just put it
Current
out there.
Brian is going to do the fun stuff. Future Brian will do the things
Yeah,
that are not quite as fun. Yeah, Future Wayne has signed up for all sorts of manual manual tasks
yeah,
that current Wayne
absolutely.
does not want. Okay, so we have a really exciting show, and I think there's some really cool people. We've got some people to come talk with us and our guests. And so should we get into the first big subject area?
Absolutely. I'm super excited. I think the first subject area is it's going to touch on to like what the possibilities are with Gen AI, and I'm super excited to be talking to our next guest.
Let's bring him on.
Yeah, so let's bring him on. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the show. How about you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Walsh. I'm a senior solution architect here at Amazon Web Services on the East Coast. I focus primarily on marketplace and big Gen AI fan, everything about it, Nova fan, and just been using it to look at all the possibilities and what we can do with it. So very exciting times. Very exciting.
Kenny, it is great to have you here. And since Brian and I just had a whole discussion about something that was really like that's come up in the last couple months that's inspiring us in the space. I know we're going to talk about Nova, and if your answer is that, that's super cool. But what's inspiring you today in the space?
You know what's inspiring me? Content creation.
Mm,
That's what inspires me. We now have solutions. I will talk about all the services and the features and solutions, but now we have the ability, and I have the ability, partners and customers have the ability to create content. If you want to create poems, ebooks, you can create it using the language modules under Nova. If you want to create, and this is my favorite, if you want to create images, if you want to create your own multimedia movie, we now have all of the technology to do that. Those of you who are old enough to remember the $6 million man, it's a gentleman. We now have the technology. We can build it. That's what we have now. So, what excites me is the ability to take a prompt, a written prompt, where I can say, "Hey, please create a commercial about toothpaste and include these key bullet points." And then we have the components, the technology, the automation to take that text, and on the output is a commercial with narration and music and text. And before, you would need so many different humans in different categories, videographers, writers, and maybe they'll come for me for all of this. But now you can speed up that process, or let's put it this way: now those human resources have tools to make their job easier, so they can do that. Let's put it that way.
super
That's really
exciting.
cool. Yeah, it is. If you have like an idea to be able to go from an idea to like plausibly finished output in minutes, right?
Right.
That like the ability to rapidly iterate, try it out, scratch it, try it out, without having to commit to like the whole production it's just really inspiring, isn't it?
Right. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I was preparing for this show, and Paco can get ready with the podcast video. And I asked, I told the different components. I said, "Hey, um, create the text for a podcast between two gentlemen, and do some image prompts and some titles. And so I was leveraging the the technology to create a podcast about us talking about what we're talking about now. So if that's one is that one's ready, Paco, just play the short video. So there we are. Two two handsome young men in a studio talking about Gen AI, right? And now you can add text to this, narration to this, multiple scenes. Do you see where I'm going? So yes, Brian and Ken and Wayne, we're in different locations. We're doing this, and but tomorrow you could tell the Gen AI components, hey, create a script where we are doing a podcast, and oh, by the way, include Q&A for each character, and you could then instruct the automation to, in one voice, Brian asks a question, and the other voice, the guest answers the question. So look how powerful that is. And that was all of 1 minute, and that was just the first scene, and we could put a bunch of scenes together, and we'd literally have this podcast generated by Gen AI. Of course, we can't do it without us, and we should always be doing it, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so tell our audience, how long did that take for you to like give our audience a sense of like what that took?
Okay, so um, hey, if we have the Nova services screenshot, the services, let's put that up and we'll just talk about it. I'm not sure. Do we have that one?
we can bring it up.
There was an image I uploaded last. If not, I'll just share my screen. But let's talk about how much that took. So I asked I actually asked the language module, right? And here we are. Here are some of the wonderful services and modules that Amazon offers, right? So we have Nova Light, Nova Canvas, Nova Micro. So I asked one of the text, these break down into text management, image management, and video management now, right? Nova Reels, Nova Canvas, those are released in reInvent this past December, November, and wonderful components. So for the small video that you saw, I simply asked one of the text management Nova modules, I said, hey, create a script where there are two people around a round table, right? And in the background is a radio station, so forth and so on. And then I use Nova Canvas to do that. So put that prompt to Nova Canvas generate the image. Then I took that image and I gave the image to Nova Reels, right? And I just basically said, create a video where you pan left or pan right, I forgot, and that was it. So the idea to create it, telling the language module to create the text or the script, feeding that into the image generation, then take the output image, feeding it into Nova Reels to create the video based on the image, and that was that. Of course, I could have gone directly to Nova Reel and give it the text, and it would be text to video. But that's how long it took. It took like 3-4 minutes, and I also told the LLM to create a series of scenes, and each scenes have Q&A. So maybe for another demo, we'll show the end product of that. But simply as asking the underlying module, Nova or Titan to generate the script, generate the image, generate the movie, and all of that can be done in 5 minutes.
That's super cool. So I imagine you've done this already to create a movie and some advanced content. Can we kind of
Yes,
see what that's
yes.
like?
I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna show you. Let's kind of back up. If we can put up the Nova architecture again, I want to describe it a bit more. So can you put that up? Okay. So these are wonderful services and that are brought to you by Amazon Web Services or Amazon, right? But I like to think of them as, AWS has and Amazon has wonderful Lego blocks, wonderful building blocks that then our customers and partners can use to build everything and everything, right? So these are wonderful Lego blocks, right? But now I look at this and I go, there's a Lego block that does images, there's one that does text, there's one that does video, and let's put them all together. So let me share my screen now, and I'll show you how I put them all together to be able to generate videos. Okay. So let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see.
And we are still seeing the.
Yeah. Okay. And now I'm gonna bring you your screen. All right.
All right.
Are you seeing the?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So again, this is content. You're getting a sneak peek. This is going to be a blog. It's going to be released, and then if you have use cases that can leverage the content you're looking at now, you can use the blog later on, download it, and set it up in your own AWS account. But at a high level, we have the ability here to write your prompts. So this is where you'd create images, right? So we can also do videos. So right now, I tell it to create an image of a cat on the street, and behind the scenes, this prompt will go to Nova Canvas. It will create the image, and then the image will show up here on the left. Okay, so create a cat on the street, and then we're going to hit generate. And now the front interface is making a connection back to Nova Canvas, right? It goes through security, API gateway, Lambdas, things like that. But the front end is talking to the back end, which is Nova Canvas. Nova Canvas then looks at the prompt, all right, a cat on the street. And if the demo gods are good enough, then it will show the result. So here we are. Now we have, open this a new tab. And there you go. We just created an image of a cat on the street, right? But we can also then take this image, right? And then we can change, we're going to use the image now as a base for a video. And then we will do a camera movement. Maybe we will zoom out from the cat, right? So this just says, use this base image of a cat on the street. And then we're going to zoom out. And we're going to create this time we're going to go to video and create a video. And, we also have another service that generates video that is available through Bedrock, right? We're third party for Luma. So we can do it through Luma, or we can do it through Nova Reels, but we'll go with Nova for now. And then we just hit create. And behind the scenes, it's now taking that base image, is going to create a video of that cat, and it's going to just zoom out, and that'll be the first video. But the important thing is you now have the ability to leverage Nova Canvas, Nova Reels. You have LLMs that you can use, and you can create a story. So this is a multimedia workstation that the blog content will be creating, and then partners, school teachers, parents who want to create bedtime story for kids, they can come, they can use this, they can say, all right, create a story, create a script, and then based on the story and the script, they can create the individual components, they can generate a movie, and then they'll have that movie, and they will be able to share with others, or if you're a commercial entity, you can sell it, or you can put it on YouTube, you can put it on Facebook, TikTok. So all of those content creators and influencers, now you have another solution that you can use to create videos that you can use for many, many different purposes. Okay.
So in the prompt, you can just put just about anything, right, Ken? And it'll try to produce it. So I can say, hey, Bigfoot busts out comes in the window of the podcast, right? And
Yes.
it'll try to make that,
So
right?
Everything you look at here are wonderful tools and services by Amazon and AWS. But the most important one, as Brian just mentioned, is the idea. What am I going to use these building blocks and this application that uses the building blocks? What am I going to build today? Do I want to create an entire movie about a podcast about Amazon Web Services? Do I want to create a short video story or movie about, kids that went off into the forest and had fun with talking dogs? What do I want to do? So I am so excited because myself, Brian, some of the other folks that are working on this blog, we have ideas about some of the use cases that it can do. But I'm so excited because once this goes out to the public, all of their imagination, all of their ideas, they can use this to create them and they can generate it. And this application is one of the, one that we're creating that enables customers to use all the building blocks on the covers to generate things that they need. Okay. For instance, we wanted to make a demo. I wanted to make a documentary for you know, for creating content, encouraging folks to create content. And I thought, it'd be really cool if a famous figure from history told us the importance of creating content, because we're builders here at AWS, right? So
Right.
let's play the Queen video and we'll see something like that. I'll stop
Okay.
sharing right now.
My children, hearken unto the words of your queen, Nefertiti. The sands of time may shift, and civilizations may rise and fall, but the legacy we leave behind shall endure. In this modern era, where innovation reigns supreme, it is imperative that you embrace the power of technology and create content that transcends boundaries.
All right, so the message we wanted to deliver was, talk to the builders here at AWS, encourage them to create content and use the services that we offer. And the message was delivered by a famous queen from history, Nefertiti, right? So that was one video, right? And but let's say you're a small toothpaste company, you want to do a toothpaste advertising, right? You can do that
Yep.
also. So we have one of those. So let's play a little bit of that.
Hey there, kids. Are you tired of boring, yucky mouthwashes? Well, get ready for the coolest, most awesome mouthwash ever. Introducing AWS Blue Mouthwash, the minty fresh, cinnamon-tinged treat that'll have you begging for more. Not only will it leave your mouth feeling clean and fresh, but it's also made with all natural ingredients, so your parents will love it too. And you know what else?
Okay, so again, you
Okay.
see,
So this is
it's all
really
about the
cool.
story, what you want to do, and then you can
I
do
think
it.
this, I I think this is really cool. But some of the big questions that we're getting in the comment section and it comes to people's mind is how much does this cost, right? What would you think this would cost? So this of doing something like this. Mhm.
Um, Honestly, kind of a builder, so pricing and things like that. you know, um, but let's take it back. Okay, so using the individual modules, right? We charge per tokens per runs, so there's a cost there. I would have to actually look it up to see how much that costs. All of the components behind the web page, like storage, Lambda, and some of the other components, there are costs to use that, right? But
Right.
what you really want to do is to think about, I can create 10 versions of my video, 10 versions of my commercial. I can do all of that in a half hour, right? And when you compare that to traditional movie creation, where you have to go on location, you have to pay writers, um, photographers, everything else that comes with it, you can compare that cost. But we'll do some follow up and we'll get you a cost breakdown of the stack that I just introduced. But I would, we always want to work lower cost, offer service to our customers, so the cost will definitely be competitive and attractive.
Yeah, and I imagine some of these services that you mentioned fit into some kind of free tier, correct?
Absolutely, right? So
Right.
storing storing the different components, the different services, because the stack was Bedrock, Nova, Titan. Some of those are free services or introductory costs, right? So definitely attractive in price.
Okay, great. So what do you think the level of experience someone needs in order to get started with these tools?
That, my friend, is the key, right? That web application. Okay. So if we go to Nova and you open up the AWS console, and you go to the individual consoles to build to the individual Lego blocks, if you will, that takes a lot of know-how, a lot of experience, right? However, as I showed you in the web console, what we want to do, and here's what I strive for when I build content like that. I say my grandma from Kansas or my 8-year-old niece should be able to pick up a mouse and click, 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 and generate it. So the skill set, if for the younger folks that know how to scroll and use their phones, I think it's built into them. I think skill set for folks that are our age, 30s, right? Then they can pick it up, they can learn. At the end of the day, they're just entering a prompt, right? And the beauty of it is that web interface has access to one of the Titan LLMs for text management. So you can actually go to that web interface and you can go towards it's in narration creation, and you can say, I don't know what video to create. Give me some video ideas that are top five, right? Give me top five video ideas, and the LLM behind the scenes will create the idea or give you ideas for the suggestion, and then you can tell it to help you out to create the prompt that goes to create the video. So it is so exciting, right? You can ask an LLM to create the best prompt, to create the best video, to create the best image, and it's all at your fingertips. So anyone that wants to create content and is excited about it like me, now you have the solutions to create the content. Now you have solution to ask it how to create the content and create it better. And that's why it's very, very exciting time here with GenAI and all of the services that Amazon and AWS offers. Very exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome,
that's
Ken.
that's a really cool example of the kind of the quick build that you can do, um, just to sort of learn the technology, prove it out, show yourself that you can make it happen. Um, I think a lot of times, right, with the speed of this, just being able to just get your fingers in it and start just playing.
Sure.
Familiarity is just important, right? Because tomorrow it's going to keep moving, and you got to jump in the water at some point. So it's time to try.
And that's crucial because October, November of last year, right? The Nova modules and services, they were under development. So we had others to do text and with others to do images, right? But now the Nova models to do text, images, and videos, those are out. So those are just additional building blocks, right? That we can use behind the scenes to generate content, right? And I want you to think about this, right? Um, February is Black History Month. March, I forget which holiday is in March, but think about it. If you're a principal, you're a teacher in a school, and you want to, let's call it St. Patty's Day, right? So let's say you want to teach all of the kids about St. Patty's Day, and you want to do it in a fun way, not the traditional textbooks, right? You can come here. You can ask you can ask the LLM to create narration about St. Patty's Day. When did it start? Why did it start? Who was involved? So forth and so on. And that'll be the narration to play in the video. And then you can tell the services to create a series of videos to follow that narration. And then you hit a button, And now you have a video about St. Patrick's Day you can feed to 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, what have you. And it tells them
Yeah.
all about St. Patty's Day, what's going on, and they have a different way to consume the knowledge and learn about St. Patty's Day, um, African History Month, Veterans Day, Juneteenth, Thanksgiving. And that's just the educational side of it. Now, let's say you're an up and coming advertising agency, right? And you have these great ideas about creating these content, and you may have a budget, a limited production budget. Now you have a tool that can generate um, maybe these, you know, intro or art of the possible commercials that you can pitch to all the different customers, right? And as the components under the covers get better, as we get better at generating images and videos and who knows what's next, then those components can live under the application, and then all the customers are now generating better and better and better quality, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that.
I think
So
one of the biggest. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
go for it. Go for it. Go for it, Brian.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think one of the biggest perks with this, and we talk about the Nova models, I mean, there are a lot of Gen AI models that do image and video, but what really sets this apart is that it runs on Bedrock. And I don't think we really kind of talked about that. And the benefit you get out of that is, of course, you could probably find another open source model for doing video and image, but you have to think about the other part of it. Like, how am I going to host this? What machine am I going to run this on? How am I going to scale this? But with the Nova models, they're built into Bedrock. So what you did, Ken, is actually be able to use this in Bedrock in a couple clicks, be able to deploy this advanced model and just get started with creating videos instead of worrying about where am I going to host this? How am I going to spin this up? What's involved with all the back end? And I think that's a real critical part and differentiator in other services or other type of solutions. Do you agree with that?
I do. And if the audience has more questions, please post those questions. But we started off at a high level, showing the cool videos you can create, showing the web application.
Mhm.
And Brian just mentioned something critical, right? The behind the scenes component. And this just means, where is that model that generates images? Where is the model that generates video? Where's the model that handles, manages text? A, a customer does not have to worry about hosting that. Now, hosting just simply means that those different models need to run on a computer somewhere, right? And the customer doesn't need to worry about that, because Bedrock is a service that it acts as an endpoint. And at a high level, Bedrock hosts those different models for you, and then your interface, your web application, just needs to talk to the Bedrock endpoint, and then Bedrock will talk to the model that does images, videos, text, audio. We have some other services that does audio. Now, for developers developing applications like what we're doing, they just need to connect to Bedrock and tell Bedrock to pass the prompt or the query along to the model that Bedrock is hosting. So that's another point about cost, right? You don't pay a lot, you don't pay for computing power to host these models. All of those are under Bedrock, and Bedrock makes API calls for that. And that's what keeps the cost down, right? And more importantly, if you're generating videos and images and text, and you're doing that Monday between 9 and 5, then you may pay for the usage of that. But if you're not doing that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because you're not interacting with Bedrock, you're not sending anything, you're not paying to host anything. It's a pay as you go service, if you will. So that also keeps the cost down.
Cool. So we have a couple questions from the chat if you like will indulge us. So here's our first question. Is there any way to validate the content generated by these models? Information provided could be wrong, right?
And that is a you have to have a review for the content coming out, right? So what I tell customers is, yes, we can generate one video every minute, 30 videos every minute, but before you put those publicly, you have to have a person, an editor, a screener that looks at the output and say, okay, this is right, this fits into the parameters of what we think is okay. So that's still a human reviewer, right?
I do think right, like recently, just I think earlier in December, if I remember the announcement date, right? We announced automated reasoning for Bedrock guardrails, which I think is a really cool, right, mathematically sound tools to validate outputs from LLMs.
Yes.
And I think that's where this. I think that's the future of these types of validations, these checks, right? Are sort of like mathematically proven truths, right?
Right. And Bedrock Guardrails is another excellent service that Bedrock offers. And at a high level, it it does intelligent filtering. So you can do things like the questions or the prompt that you ask. Let's not have things like social security numbers, HIPAA, and information. And the answers that are coming back, make sure that the answers don't include these type of categories. So that's Bedrock Guardrails, and that's one way we can build in, screening of the content coming out. Okay.
All right. Good answer. So I think we have a couple of the questions. So here's a good question. So can you reschedule the creation of content based on current trends? So I'm guessing that maybe you're asking if we could build some kind of pipelines to schedule these movies be created or something like that. That's why I assumed the question to be.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Everything I showed you before, it was event. It kicked off by event, and the event was the human clicking and submitting, right? But the background is all the background components are there, and if your use case is to, you know, evaluate trends, then take those trends and feed them into the creation process on a schedule event. That's just a little bit more automation you can build on top of it. That you absolutely can do that.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's see if we can find some other questions. So keep your questions going. We're going to try to get those in. So let's see what we got. All right. So I just get a lot of cool things about like great. So here's one. So cool stuff, kid.
Thank you,
Definitely cool
Madeline.
stuff.
It is really cool, and I'm telling you, I may have a dozen video content creation ideas. Everybody watching has 20 more, 30 more, 100 more, right? Because I'm in an industry that creates the content to create these things. Other folks are teachers, advertising execs, so many more different ideas, right? That can be used for this.
Awesome. So, Ken, it's been awesome to talk to you about this. I imagine we could talk days about Gen AI and create a bunch of cool videos. But before we wrap up with you, can you tell us where they can find out more information about Nova and some things that you just showed?
Absolutely. So, Nova is a service. It's in your AWS console, and I think we have some folks online or some folks that can drop some links that point to information about Nova and other AWS services. So look out for that, and we probably put them in the chat now. And just keep coming back to this session. I think we have one next week, right? And we'll make sure that we have links for providing information about all the different services that Amazon and AWS offers for generative AI. And so much fun to be here. Perhaps when the application, the blog is completed, it'll do much, much more. We can come back and talk about it.
Awesome, Ken.
Thanks
Well,
for joining us. Thanks for those awesome videos. It's just so cool to see what like an idea and technology can combine to make Nefertiti describing generative AI.
Isn't that cool?
Right? Like it's absurd. It's amazing. Um, so yeah, thanks for
I
joining
just thought
us.
of another
Really
one.
appreciate it.
We could create a video where George Washington tells us how to cross a river in a boat. Wouldn't that be awesome? Or how to chop down a cherry tree.
There you
So
go.
again, ideas just keep flowing.
All
Well,
right,
great to
Ken.
be here,
Let's,
guys.
All right, Ken. Thank you.
let's,
All right, bye.
all right. Well, stay tuned for our next guest. We've got some more exciting content here at Gen AI Live. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back to Gen AI Live. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. If this is your first time joining us here at Gen AI, we're happy that you're here. We run this show every Wednesday from 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to see the latest and greatest about Gen AI and what's going on in space, please join us. I'm here with my co-host Wayne. And Wayne, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us. Having me. It's exciting to be here as always. Love the conversation. Love talking with our partners, our clients, our colleagues. The space moves fast, and we just want to stay on top of it as best as possible. Uh, it's it's dizzying. Um, Chris and Victor, I want to wish you a happy first birthday. Almost. Yeah.
Thank you.
You look. I'm gonna be
Thank you.
honest. You look a little older than one, and I'm concerned that
Yeah,
somehow that's
thank
not the
you.
case.
Maybe that's dog years. Yeah, thank you. So, Victor and I are here. We represent the AWS Generative AI competency. So that's our partner program. Yeah, it's about to turn one. We launched just about 11 months ago at our Global Partner Summit last
Yeah,
March.
yeah, we're getting close. In March, March the 6th was the launch. I still remember we got during the launch in a live show, we got almost 300K
Yeah,
viewers.
it was. I was glad I didn't know that that was the case during the recording because that would have freaked me out. But yeah, no, we're super thrilled to come back and talk a little bit more about what's in store for the competency, to remind our viewers what that is, and some things that are top of mind from the partner community. Um,
Yeah, so let us know. So like what's the latest scoop on the competency? Where's it gone? Where's it coming? Where's it
Yeah, so
going?
so maybe we back up a minute and just sort of define what it is. So, from a customer lens, the generative AI competency is probably the easiest way to find AWS partners that have validated technical capabilities and commercial success with AWS generative AI services. We have 130,000 plus partners in our network, so navigating that can be a challenge sometimes for our customers. So we create these competency programs to really help direct our customers to find partners in the right regions with the best use cases, maybe industry lens, technology or consulting. So we're up to, what is it, Victor? 154 partners now, and going strong.
Pretty close to 160 partners,
Yep.
110, as far as I remember. They are consulting partners
Hmm.
for, and this program is global. The scope is global. So all who are watching this show and are wondering if in your region you need a partner, a trusted partner, trusted advisory, trusted solutions, you can find them in the Generative AI Competency Partners webpage.
So I see you guys have a number of partners. Can you talk a little bit about what does it take to be a partner in this space?
Yeah, so Victor, why don't you talk about the technical components? I can touch on the commercial aspects. So these are partners that are pretty well ingrained into our AWS partner network. They've gone through a number of checks already. They're at a certain tier, um, and have already demonstrated success in other components of AWS's service landscape. For the generative AI competency, these partners, whether it's a consulting partner, an ISV technology partner, a partner that provides large language models, or infrastructure and data technology, they have demonstrated that their customers are happy. They're getting deployed, either out of the box or custom deployments of our services like from Bedrock or SageMaker, um, and they're backing it up with customer case stories and sort of happy reviews from their customers. So they also go through a pretty rigorous technical check as well that sort of Victor manages.
Yeah, it's to complement your answer, Chris. I wanted to mention that, and to answer to your question, Brian, the important aspect that it takes sometimes a long time for the partners trying to become a generative AI competency partners is related to building a, in the case of consulting, building a practice around generative AI, and it is around the entire life cycle. Think about the envisioning of a project or of an idea, and based on this discovery, start also identifying and selecting the right tools in the AWS Generative AI stack that could go from Amazon Q, Amazon Bedrock, or at the bottom layer in the stack, those technologies like Amazon SageMaker, or technologies like Trainium and Inferentia to start building the models. After selecting how to customize and optimize these technologies around that use case or idea that started just in a working backward session with the customers, and so on. It continues to the point of talking about generative AI security and safety. There's a difference between them, and also talking about how to bring to production this project, how to launch it, following operational excellence practices and the rest of the pillars in the well architected, of course. And finally, post launch, what do we do with this workload? That's part of the practice that we are expecting to see from the partners. From the technology side, with partners in the software path, it takes sometimes, seems to be easier, but think about these practices that I mentioned, how they apply them into their products or solutions. And that also makes a big difference. Thinking about the customer to get a good experience, and working with trusted partners.
Hmm.
So it sounds like you've pretty recently made some additions, enhancements to the competency program, and I know like at AWS, security is job number one for everybody, or maybe zero,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it's the first. And I know we're constantly thinking about how these technologies sort of manifest themselves in specific industries. I think you guys have been doing some work in that space. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's new?
Yeah, Victor, I'll let you talk about our security, our AI security
Absolutely. Yes.
category. But before you do that, I thought it might be fun. I'm such a visual learner, and I'm sure our audience would appreciate, getting situated, sort of to put eyes on what we're talking about. So, if can you confirm you can see my screen?
We
Um,
Yes.
can.
Okay, cool. So just a quick web search, around AWS generative AI will get us situated, right? So we come in here on the main generative AI landing page. We're going to scroll over to the partner section. Um, so this is where anyone that kind of wants to get in touch with our competency partners, and understand, what makes them sort of unique and different. But you can find partners very easily here. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about 154. We have another 200 partners in the queue here going through these checks to be added to this catalog. So you can easily search by consulting or different, technologies around applications, foundation models, infrastructure. Um, so one of the things that we're launching is, or that we're bringing to market is the ability to focus in on a generative AI partner that also has some industry lens to their consulting practice. So if you're a customer that works in any of these industries, for example, you can click into any one of them, and it'll give you a list of these partners that are in the Gen AI competency, but that also have a specialization around in this example, automotive, right? Um, and then, scrolling down this page, I just want to highlight a couple things, right? We've got our marketplace listings where a lot of our ISV software vendors will list their generative AI technology. You can search that here. So it's a great place for customers just to kind of get that plug and play deployment of a technology. We've done our best to sort of showcase some case studies that we love, but wanted to call out the attention of our audience to one other section that I love, which is our competency partners in action. So if you want to sort of browse some of the case studies, look at videos that our customers have recorded on behalf of our partners, you can come here and click into any of these and obtain an ebook and a video. And then lastly, so we are, and I'll pass this over to Victor to describe, but we launched at reInvent and are now putting a big push around, AI security. I think a lot of our customers are inquiring about that. So we've just launched in collaboration with the security competency, this sort of joint category around AI security.
Exactly. We met we and connected with the security competency team to discuss the possibility of having something in common around security. And the final decision was to start a category on the security competency for talking about AI security or security of AI. There's a slight definition or aspect related to security for AI, safety, and AI powered security. So in this case, in the security team, we started to envision what partners could be a good fit for helping the customers to make sure that the links that are used, for example, are encrypted. The policies applied to the workload around AI and the services are in the right levels of permissions and access, encryption of the content, making sure that the prompts and all the information that is sensitive for the customers is encrypted, it's redacted. All those measures are in this practice and in this category inside the security competency. On our side, we are working with partners that are bringing solutions that power security with generative AI.
Yeah.
Think about what before a security analyst was doing, for example, typing queries, trying to correlate or to identify potential threats, or after a threat is identified, trying to dive deep into doing some investigation and trying to triage and trying to fix the problems. It took a long time. Not with generative AI. There are several partners that have implemented assistants, have implemented. Sorry, something is missing here.
And one of the things I know that's our chime to say we're into our next segment here, our next meetings. But we have so we have got a number of shows coming up every Wednesday that Brian mentioned, and we'll be actually bringing some of our partners on to talk about their solution success they're seeing with customers. It's a great lineup, and this technology is just super cool. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thanks for running us through the competency program. Thanks for teeing up next week. It's great to hear from you. We're all like, I'm just inspired by the stuff that our colleagues are doing. It covers the whole spectrum of everything, and all of it is like all of it is interesting. I love learning
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
you don't need to go into the full into the weeds alone as a customer. the partners are here to work with you as a customer. They already went into all these details. They have the expertise and they have the knowledge to do that. And best of all, they already deliver projects
Yeah.
around these different
That
topics.
is a great way to sum it all up. Brian, thank you. Chris, Victor, thank you. You want to take us home, Brian?
Yeah, so thank you for being here. This is the first episode of Gen AI for 2025, and we will be here next Wednesday from 8 to 9. So if you want to hear us talk more about Gen AI and talk to some cool partners, join us next week. Thank you, Chris, Victor, Wayne. Yeah, and thank you, audience.
Thank you, folks. Welcome to the Gen AI world.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye bye.